What's up, guys? Four-wheeler doctor back again. Got another funny shirt on. Alright guys, tonight we're working on a Sportsman 500 HO. I don't really know what the HO means. I understand what it means, high output, but they all have that on there, and I don't think you can get a low output option. So anyway, this is I'm not 100% sure on the year model. Maybe a 2000s or so, but I just bought a starter for it, so I'll see what it says. It doesn't have a year on it. Alright, so anyway, it had been sitting for a while, had some issues with the starter, ended up putting the starter on the thing, and now when you switch the key on, it doesn't make any noise and it won't crank. So I pulled the fuel line off, and the fuel pump isn't pumping, so I bought a replacement pump, and I'm going to attempt to replace that today. It's not the easiest thing to get to, as you can imagine, because the tank is here, and I'm pretty sure the pump is probably on this side. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'll find out once I get the plastic off. So we're going to start off by taking this front fender off of this thing. I'm not sure how hard or easy that's going to be, but I don't think it'll be too bad. Pull these push pins out of the floorboards here, and these, I believe these are 13mm bolts. There's 4 of them on this storage compartment, and then you also have to get down here under the bottom, and there's some Torx headed bolts here. I think there's 2 of them, and then I believe there's a couple in these holes as well. So you've got 4 Torx heads on each side, and once you get all that stuff loose, this thing will just kind of fold up from the backside, or roll up from the backside, and come out. I saw a wasp swimming, running around with this thing a while ago, so I hope I don't uncover a wasp nest or open up a wasp nest, whatever you want to call it. But we're going to give it a shot here in a second. Let me get all these bolts loosened up, and I'll cut the camera back on right before I uncover the wasp nest. Hopefully not. Alright guys, got all these bolts out. They were T27 is what those little Torx headed bolts were, and I'm going to see if I've got everything loose. And like I say, I hope. I might want to get some carburetor cleaner over here just in case I literally stir up a wasp nest. So let me get that real quick, you know, just as a precautionary measure. And guys, if there's a big break in the camera right here as you see me run off because the wasp are after me, I'll be back in a little bit. Alright everybody, keep your fingers crossed. Well, I don't see a swarm as of yet, so we may have dodged this bullet, unless there's one under the fender, which gotta hope there isn't. So, alright, so we got the storage compartment off, and now what I want to do is pull this fender off. Gotta get, like I said before, gotta get these push pins out here, and there appear to be 2 push pins here. Oh, there's a wasp nest there, but looks like they might be dead. Take this cover off, and I believe that's all you got to do for this thing to slide back. So let me get those push pins out. I'll cut the camera back on right before I slide it off. Alright guys, one last thing that I did not include is you have to take these 2 bolts out right here to get this front fender off. They're 3/8 of an inch, and now you kind of lift up on this thing, pull it up off the floorboard there. Seems like the last one I did like this, you kind of had to do it like a back wing, and it come off of there. This, I can already smell the gas. When I took that gas cap off, it smells horrendous. So that's probably got something to do with why the fuel pump's not working either. Straighten your steering wheel up, and swing this thing out like wings, and it will slide off just like that. Grab it right over the gas tank filler was, get it off those wires. They want to come over around that shifter. And you know me, I'm not going to take off no more than I have to, so what we're going to do is shift that thing down in the park. Pull it off just like that. So, that's the first part of this operation. Put the gas cap back on. We don't want any more bad stuff to get down in the gas tank. And we're also going to remove these bolts here. Again, 3/8 to get the gas. I don't think we got anything else on the front. I believe it's got two little tabs that stick off the front of it that will allow it to slide back. Take the air cleaner box off. And well, we're gonna have to take this belt snorkel tube off too. I forgot about it running over top. And actually, I believe the gas, the fuel pump is directly below that snorkel, if you want to call it, or the belt. So let me loosen this clamp up. The clamp does not look like it's in the best of shape. Let me try the other clamp, because that one there looks pretty bad. Alright, get it loose, see if we can get it to slide off of there. Not really wanting to cooperate. That one clamp is probably going to have to be replaced. So, wiggle this thing, there we go. I got it off now. Slide it outside the plastic and slide this thing over. Alright, that's going to show you where the fuel pump is, right here. So we've got the tank loose, I believe. Everything's loose on it. Let me straighten this camera stand up a little bit. And we should be able to slide this thing back, because it has a elbow on that fuel line there. It's pretty tough to get off if you do not slide your tank back. This little elbow right here, you can see if you try to loosen it up, it's going to hit up in the frame here. So sliding the tank back is going to help you out. Unplug it there. And the way this clip works is there's two little tabs off the back side of it. You push those in and push up on them at the same time, and it will allow this white looking button piece to pop out. If you grab a small screwdriver, you can stick it right behind that little button piece and pop it all the way out. There's kind of a little clip that holds it together. Actually, a little bit of fuel come out of it, so that's a good thing. Alright, now we got to get this tank up out of here. Let me get around here where I can get the camera back up. Got it kind of jacked up a little bit. Alright, now just pick up on your tank and slide it back. These tanks are real deep, as you can see. Sticks way down in there. So what I'm going to do now, I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the pump out of there, and then we'll worry about draining the gas out of this thing. And so I'm going to get the air hose, blow all this dirt dauber nest and all this out of the way, and then I'll cut the camera back on right before I pull these screws out. Alright guys, I went ahead and pulled some of the screws out because the compressor cut on. So we got 5 screws here, still got one remaining. Pull it out of there, Phillips heads, and then this whole pump assembly should come out somehow or another. Now you got to wiggle these things around because they'll have a they will have the thing that tells how much fuel's in it, whatever you want to call it, float. I guess that's the correct word for it. They'll have the float on them, and you got to make sure you get it out of there. But this is pretty nasty. it appears that there's supposed to be a filter on the end of this thing here, and as you can see, there's not one. There's also some rust in here. I did opt for the filter, for the not filter, for the pump that comes with the that pressure or that bypass valve there. I've had issues with them in the past. What that does is since this pump is just a single line, so it doesn't have a return like an automotive one. So what it does when the pumping, when you're just sitting there idling, you don't need the full 50 psi or whatever it puts out. So it bypasses some of that unused fuel through that little bypass valve there on the side. And when you do give it gas or do need that much fuel, that thing cuts off and lets the fuel go through the line then. And I've had problems with them in the past. Had a bike one time that you could crank it up and it would run fine. Once you crank it up, give it gas and go, it would run fine. But when you brought it back and parked it and let it sit for a minute with it idling, go back to ride it again, it wouldn't hardly take the gas. And what that was is that bypass thing was not closing back up to let the full fuel flow go through. So that's why I opted to go ahead and get the pump with the bypass, just in case that could be an issue too. I don't want to have to take this thing back apart. So let me clean the card off here, and we'll see about taking this thing apart and putting the new pump in there. I'll cut the camera back on in a sec. Alright guys, let's see if we can get this thing taken apart here. This is our new pump we got. It's made by OSIAS or something like that. Anyway, like I said, it comes with the that bypass valve. It looks like this does come with a piece of hose and some clamps, as well as a filter on the end. But we're going to end up having to cut these clamps off of here. These things are, I guess you could probably reuse them, but they're not real easy to reuse. So let me go ahead and take this gasket off here, and hopefully I'll remember to put that on before I put it back together. So the thing we need to do here is, this is a just got 2 cable ties holding it on, so I'm gonna cut those things off. Actually, you just really don't even have to cut them. This gas has done deteriorated them pretty seriously. So alright, that's off. Unplug our leads here. The red lead goes toward the, I guess, back side of that, and the black lead is over here on the other side, I guess toward the front. And now let's see if we can get these clamps off. What I normally do on these is stick a small screwdriver in that little gap that's there, and that screwdriver is not small enough. Let me find my real small screwdriver, see if it will fit in there, and pry these things open a little bit, and then you can usually work them off. That didn't work. Well, so this thing is so brittle. Hoping you can see this from the, let me zoom in there a little bit. There you go. This thing's so brittle, the hose here just fell apart, so it's gone. So I didn't have to take that clamp off. I am going to have to take this one off though. Let me see how I can wiggle this thing off of here. I think what I'm going to try to do is catch the edge of it here with a pair of clippers and pull up on it, because that's what's really holding it, the edge of it there. Can't get up under them with the clippers. There it goes. And maybe a pick. Stick it through there. There you go. That's what we needed the whole time. The pick will pry it open just like that, and then you can wiggle this thing off. Let me see here. I'm just going to continue to break this piece of hose off. That's going to give us a little bit more clearance to get the clamp off. The way these clamps work is, if you can relieve the pressure on the clamp just a little bit, it will open up. but I have not been able to relieve that pressure as of yet. It's wanting to come off of there. Get my small screwdriver back under the clamp, pry up on it. There it is. Alright, so we got the clamp loose now and off. That took a little longer than it probably should have. But I kind of want to be easy on it because this is a plastic piece that comes off here that the actual hose is attached to. And that's the last thing I want to do is to break that little housing part, because I didn't get one of those with the kit. So now we've got our pump off. This thing here comes off to, that's basically what holds it up to this metal tube here. So now let me, I think what I'm going to do now is pull this pressure relief valve out of here. Attempt to, at least. It's got a ring here that kind of holds it in there. So you pull the three, snap the ring off just like I did, pull the three little tabs back. This thing's got a O-ring in it, so it's gonna probably be just a little bit tough to get off. It's coming. That O-ring is holding it pretty good there. Snap that third one out. There you go. It pops off. You see it's nasty in there. I might have to clean that up pretty good before we stick it back on. Naturally, the new one comes with new O-rings. So what I want to do now, let me get some brake cleaner, clean all this stuff up, get this rust out of here. And that hose there actually looks good. It looks like it might be made out of a different kind of material than that bottom one was that just broke apart. It doesn't seem like it's nowhere near as brittle as that bottom one was. So let me shoot this out with some brake cleaner. I'll cut the camera back on in a sec. Alright guys, let's see if we can get this thing back together. First thing I'm going to do is put that bypass little valve back in there, and it should just slide right back into the hole where it came out of, and them three little clips snap it down in there. Those O-rings are pretty serious. They have a good bit of pressure on them. Alright, so we got that on there, and then put your snap ring here around those three little tabs like that, and it holds everything together. I believe that's all the way down in there. I'm gonna pull this back off just to make absolutely sure, because it doesn't feel quite right. Tell you what I may do, I may shoot just a dab of oil on those O-rings. Yeah, that one's, I don't think they're sliding down in there quite like they should. Alright, I'm going to put just a dab of oil on there to help that thing slide down in there. Now get it lined back up, and that went a lot better. That slid down in there. I think we had a little resistance on our O-ring. So now put your snap ring thing back on there that holds all three of your clips in, just like that. And now we're going to need the piece of hose that come with the kit. Slide it up on here, and the pump and the clamps. Go ahead and slide the clamps on there before we forget about that. And let's see what else we got in here. A filter, which we didn't have on the other one. This thing here, which I don't even know what that is. And some instructions. Hey, when all else fails, read the instructions. But you know what? These instructions are just a picture that shows how the pump goes together. The insides of the pump. So that's not going to be much good for us. I'm not 100% sure what this is for. Let's see if it'll fit over here. Appears that's what it's for. I don't think we need that though, because we have our little this metal piece here is, I mean this plastic piece here is not going to fit on here like that. So I think we're going to end up needing to leave this rubber piece off. Alright, and now I need to figure out where I need to cut this hose. Let me grab my hose cutter and my pencil to figure out where I'm going to mark it, and I'll cut the camera back on in a sec. Alright guys, what I'm going to do now is kind of guesstimate where the hose is going to need to be. Got our little holder on here slid up, and it's looking like it's going to be about right there. We do have that end slid up all the way on there. So now I'll cut it with our hose cutter. Put your clamp back on there. Pull the plug off the end of it there. Slide this over. Back on like that. I think I need to rotate this around a little bit. It's got a little bit of an angle on it. So I think that's how it's going to go. Going to tighten up our clamps on our hose here. Need to back this one off a little bit because it's real tight. Actually, I about need to spin this thing around. Let me do that. Let me slide this back off and flip this clamp over, because it's going to be real close to this lead here. I want to get it on the bottom side. So put that on there like that. Put the holder back in there. Slide it back on that tube. So we got our clamp on there upside down now. Well, I don't know if it's upside down or right side up. Either way, it's going to work. So tighten it down. Alright, that one's pretty tight. Now I can't get the nut driver off. Get this one on there. Like that. And this pump does have the, a positive and a negative stamped in the top of it. In my case, the positive, it's actually got two different size terminals. The positive is the larger terminal here. So put the red wire on it, and then the black wire on the other terminal. That thing does not have any resistance to it. So I'm going to stick a pair of needle nose up in there and clamp down on that terminal, because it doesn't have, I don't know if it's done got wore out or wobbled around or whatever, but it doesn't have any resistance. I'm thinking that thing might fall off if you don't put it on there a little bit tighter. There we go, that's better. That one's fairly tight. Okay, so that's that. I need to grab a couple zip ties to zip tie this thing on, and then we will be done, other than putting it back on. Grab a zip tie here, got a brand new bag of them. So it had two of them on it. That's what we'll stick back on there. Hopefully these will last another 20 years. Slide this through here. I'm going to slide it all the way around that tube and everything so it holds it all together. Like that. And then stick this one on down here toward the bottom. And get my handy dandy zip tie puller here. There you go. Alright, let me zoom out on this thing so you can see what we got going on here. Rope zooming the wrong way. Well, I think I'm going to have to turn it off to make it zoom. It won't zoom back out any farther. Let me turn it. There we go. Zoomed out that time. Alright, so we've got our connectors on there. The hoses are tight. This pressure relief valve with the snap rings on there. Got our 2 zip ties on here. And the only other thing we have to do is stick this filter on. And it may have to be moved around. I don't know which direction the old filter was because it wasn't on there. So I'm just going to push it down on here. It should be able to spin it if we need to. And it's got a metal kind of washer like thing that kind of press fits on the end of the fuel pump. It's trying to get on there pretty tight, I believe. There it goes. So that's just how I got it now. I'm gonna look to see how it fits in the tank, and I may have to orient that in a different way because I don't know which way it went on there. I'll tell you what I do. I may go ahead and hook this thing up just to make sure it works. I'm 99% sure this is what our problem was, but before I go put all this stuff back together, I'd kind of like to try it just to see. I don't know where the key is right now, so let me grab the key. I'll cut the camera back on. Alright guys, got this thing plugged in here. And with our fingers crossed, this thing should kick on for a second. Hopefully not shoot nothing all over us. There you go. Pump works. That's a lot better than the other one was doing. So now, let's get this thing back into the, well, hold on. First, start off with, I need to drain this tank because it's nasty. So we're going to get us a pan and drain this thing out. It's got a right good bit of gas in it. It's up to about here, so it's got a gallon or a half or so. I'm gonna go dump that out, and I don't really know if I'm gonna show putting this thing all back together or not. I may just show the final product of it running, because I am gonna have to put this gasket back on. See there, I just about forgot it. I'll hang it over here. Alright, so let me get this thing dumped out, cleaned out. I may just give you a quick rundown of me putting it back together, but won't be quite as slow as the first part. So I'll cut the camera back on in a sec. Alright guys, I got the remnants of the fuel filter there. I think what I'm going to do, this is the way I'm going to orient this filter, because it's going to sit in here like this, and so it stretches all the way out across the bottom. I think that's going to be our best bet, to have it twisted to the side. So that's what we're going to go with, and I'm going to go ahead and slide this thing in here and get it stuck back together. And like I say, I'm probably just going to go ahead and put this thing back together, and I might just show you a video of it firing up. I might have to put some gas in it and all that, but I think I'm going to do that. I'll just throw this back in, put some gas in it, get it to prime up, and show a video of it running. Alright, cut the camera back on in a sec. Alright guys, got it back plugged up. We should be ready to go. I'm going to cycle this thing on a few times. There's a chance it might not crank up again, but this thing's been sitting for a while, so it could have spark plug issues, all that stuff. So we're gonna give it a shot and just hope for the best. So kick it on, and your pump should come on. Yep, it did come on. It runs for just a few minutes, or well, not a few minutes, a few seconds, and then cuts back off once it senses that the bike's not running. So what I'm gonna do is cycle it on a couple times to make sure it gets some fuel pumped out to the injector. Alright, now we're going to see if we can get this thing to crank up. There you go. It's working. Alright guys, so that's installing a fuel pump on a, still ain't give you a year on this thing. Let me see about what year it is. Maybe a 98, 99. I don't know. Normally you can look on the bottom of the seat and it'll give you a some type of indication of a year, but I don't see one on there either. So shoot, I don't know what year it is. Nope, can't help you out. So anyway, this is a 500 fuel injected, so I would guess it'd have to be a early 2000s or to mid 2000s, because they didn't start doing fuel injection back in the 90s that I know of. So this is showing a 2005 on the wiring harness, so maybe that's what it is. 2005, that's what we'll go with. Polaris 500. Guys, check out my other videos and hit the like button, subscribe. I need to get my subscriber count up, so y'all help me out, man. I'll put a couple more videos up here in the next couple days. I got a few little odds and ends. Probably gonna clean the carburetor on it, a little recon. I'll show that on a video, and y'all check out my other videos and have a good night.